Hello, everybody. Cecil Pearson Jr. coming at you here live this afternoon on YouTube with enough of that. And we'll wait for some folks to get in, but I'm not going to be doing individual shout outs and all that. This is not a music service. This is not a prayer service. It's not any of that. So I'm about to tackle some issues that your mega preachers won't touch. Because the mega preachers, see, they're getting paid to keep their mouth shut. I don't. So I say what I want. I love being me. See, this is why, and you'll understand why I'm going to make this statement. This is why, hello, everybody. Well, sir. This is getting comical. This is why Jesus said, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and render unto God that which is God's. This what I'm about to do, that's the very reason why Jesus said that. He wants you to pay your taxes so you aren't beholden to the government for their favors to you. See, these big churches like Lakewood Ranch, the Copeland Foundation, all of these big name ministers, they all claim the 501c. That means they don't have to pay taxes on the money that comes in there. But the government controls that 501c and tells them what they can and can't say, what they can and can't preach on, how they can do what they want done. See, I pay taxes, so I can say whatever I want. They can't take nothing away from me. And that's why Jesus wanted that. Because when it comes to giving the gospel, and when it comes to giving the word of God, as it comes to the ministers, you're not supposed to be beholden to anybody but the Father. How you doing? That's the way I run this ministry. I'm not beholden to y'all to preach any way you want. I don't care how much money y'all send. You don't control what I preach. God does. And I'm on here today, and I'm about to tackle a few issues, but the first one is our gas is now $4.79 a gallon. I realize that's not as high as Brother Brent's. I saw he was paying a little better than $5 today. But I made the statement standing by the pump. Everybody knows I'm a Christian under construction. He ain't done with me yet. And I said to Gail, who was sitting in the front seat, every time I pull up to the gas pump here lately, I just want to punch a Democrat in the mouth. That is not a lie. That is a fact. That is not a funny statement. That is how I feel. Because it's the Democrats that elected, stole, however you want to go, the election, and got old hiding Biden in there. And I heard somebody behind me say, it ain't the Democrats, it's everybody. No, it's not everybody. See, when the Republican president was sitting in the big chair, gas prices was $1.23 a gallon. Do you understand? It was $1.23 a gallon. The Democrat took the seat and the price doubled. Then it tripled. Now it's quadrupled what it was, quintupled in places. $10 a gallon in California. And what does Biden say? It's a painful transition that we've just got to go through. No, it's not. The guy's an idiot. And anybody who believes that this country should run off of electric cars is an idiot right by him, and I'll tell you why. Let's see. In Texas today, it's hot. Hot. But they're telling the people that live there, keep your air conditioner set at 78 to 82. Why? It's still way cooler inside than it would be outside. You can survive 78 to 82. But the power grid cannot survive a 70-degree air conditioner. Remember when the big freeze hit Texas and everybody cut on their heat and the power grid collapsed? That's just running heat and air conditioning. What do you think the power grid will look like with 80 million electric vehicles plugged in to it all at one time? Well, we can just burn more coal to make more electricity for that. What? You can burn more coal to make more electricity to run electric cars off of coal. Isn't that coal burning releasing more carbon per metric ton of coal being burned to create that electricity than gas cars would be creating? And you don't have the dangers of the lithium battery. Lithium batteries are dangerous. If you don't think that they are, why don't you go look at some of these vehicles that are catching fire and burning down while they're charging? And when they go bad, what do you do with them? Where do you put them? You can't put them in a landfill. You can't run them through an incinerator. You can't recycle them. You got to stack them somewhere. You're creating more waste for the environment that you're trying to protect to have to absorb. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. That's why the Democrats want to do it, is because they couldn't find good sense with both hands in a flashlight if it was stuck in their tail hole. So it's not everybody that's doing it. It's the Democrats that are doing it. Let's get that clear. I don't know, and I know a crap ton. I know a crap ton of Republicans, and I don't know a single one that would vote to increase the price of gas just so they could sell electric cars. I wonder how many of these people in Congress that actually own stock in Tesla, in Chevrolet, in General Motors, in Ford Motors, in Dodge Jeep Eagle. I wonder how many of them own stock in these companies that are creating the electric cars. I bet you if we dug into that just a little bit, we might understand why they want it, because it means more money for their pocket. Honey, when a broke man goes to Congress, a broke man does a good job until somebody makes that broke man a millionaire, and now that millionaire is beholden to the people that give him the money. Much like churches paying the government with their silence so they can keep that 501c. Do you understand what I'm saying? It ain't about the environment. It's about a dollar bill and who's making it and who's paying it and who ain't. Baby formula next. I don't know if it'll help anybody, but there's different kinds of Enfamil and Similac on our store, on our shelves here at Walmart in Columbia, Kentucky. There's some of the specialty stuff, but I didn't pay attention to what it was. But there's formula here if in your mind to come get it. I don't know how long it'll last, but there was quite a bit of it today. I don't know. There's still a bunch that was empty, but there's still quite a bit of it here. To solve that problem, all they have to do is open the formula factories back up by getting an hour inspection done. You mean to tell me that since February, the Biden administration couldn't get these baby formula plants inspected? They've had February, March, April, May. Now we're into June. They've had 4 months and they couldn't pull out 3 hours worth of inspection time? You sit there and tell me that this baby formula shortage is not manufactured by the current administration in an attempt to control the population by starving your children. How you doing? The government. I personally read the letter that they sent to a friend of mine. Told him he had to destroy all the milk that he made in 4 months. He was not allowed to sell a drop of milk. He had to destroy it all, just pour it out on the ground. And when he told them, you guys have said when milk spilled on the ground, it's a biohazard, and I have to have the EPA come out here and clean it up. Well, not if you dig a ditch and do this and do that and do the other. That's the way it's got to be disposed of. So now he's got to spend diesel to dig a ditch, buy the liner that goes in it, install the liner or have somebody do it for him. He got to spend close to $10,000 on a ditch that he can dump milk in 3 times a week because he can't sell his milk. Why couldn't he sell his milk? The government didn't tell him that. There was nothing wrong with the milk. The company that was buying the milk wanted the milk, but the government told him if he wanted to keep getting his milk subsidies, he would destroy the milk, or they would end his subsidies and tax him for the past 7 years, which would have, in effect, shut his farm. This man did not sell his milk. He didn't sell his milk, and he didn't destroy his milk. They put up as much of it as they could, because there's a way you can can milk. They put up as much of it as they could. They sold their dairy cows and shut their dairy down and said, no government is going to tell me what I can and can't do. They ended their own subsidy by ending their careers that they had had their entire life. An entire lifetime career. Farm that had been handed down through generations. Cattle and equipment that had been handed down, and bloodlines of cattle that had been handed down through the years. We talking Jerseys, Guernseys, high dollar cows. And it just let it go. Another farmer friend of mine, right here in Adair County, was told he had to bush hog his soybean crop last year. He had 900 acres of soybeans. And they told him that if he'd go to town and buy a 64-inch zero-turn mower, they would reimburse him for the total cost of the mower and give him a tax credit for not using a diesel tractor to mow it down with. What do you think he did, folks? Because they gave the same threat to him. Lose your subsidies, and we're going to back tax you 7 years. What do you think he did? He didn't want to lose the family farm. He mowed it down with a brand new 64-inch mower. He got scot-free. Why? Because the government don't want the grain in the market. If the grain is in the market, you can buy the grain. If you can buy the grain, there ain't no food shortage. I got a guy right here going to town. This man always does it right. He ain't never took a subsidy, not one. And he always plants a crop ahead of time before there's a shortage of that crop and has it ready to go for whatever market wants to buy it every year. Guess what he's got there? Guess what he's got there? Wheat. Why? Because there is a global wheat shortage now. Because India has said, we don't know what we're doing with wheat. We're short this year. We're not going to be sending it out. Russia is at war. They ain't sending out nothing. This country, the United States of America, used to be the breadbasket of the world. Then you go to selling because of the greed to people like Bill Gates and to countries like China and Venezuela and Russia. You're selling this country to the enemy and wondering why there's no food. China bought Smithfield. They shut down all the plants. Nobody processing meat. What does that mean? It means you got to order the meat from China if you want it. If you want it, you got to find some place to get it. Massive dairy farm on the West Coast bought over 14,800 head of cattle sold to China. And the land, the barns, the milking parlor, all of it bulldozed. Even the 1800s house that was on it, bulldozed right flat down with the ground. And the land returned to nature. Man is supposed to be over nature, not nature over man. If you don't believe that, go back into Genesis and read where God put man in charge of the animals. The animals were never meant to be in charge of the menfolk. The menfolk was supposed to be in charge of the animals, but these idiots have got it twisted. They would like nothing better to run every single person like me and the folks that live here in Nifley into town and force us to live in high-rise apartments where we're stacked on top of one another like cordwood so that they can control you because they can control the food that way. But see, with a farmer like me with an acre and a half, I can feed my family. I can't feed many others without a tractor, but at least I can feed my own family. They don't want you to have guns because if you've got guns, then you can go hunting. Then you can protect your house against robbers. Then you can protect your farm and everything else against a tyrannical government. They don't want you to have that stuff. They want you to be dependent on the federal government. Here we go. You don't need those weapons. You've got the police department to defend you. I'm sorry, how many cases have come before the Supreme Court in numerous states where the police have been released of their responsibility to protect? They don't have to protect you. Police aren't crime fighters. They're crime investigators. They show up after the crime has happened on 90% of the time, figure out who did it, and then go arrest them and put them through the system. And if they're a big money Democrat, they get a not guilty verdict. Tell me you ain't seen it. See, they've kept you distracted with the Johnny Depp trial. 6 weeks of saga, sex, turding in a bed, violence, ugly chats, ugly text, ugly videos, ugly audios. And everybody's been glued to it like it was disaster porn. They've kept you looking over here while you wasn't paying attention to what was going over here. You're looking over here and you're not seeing what this hand's doing. And this hand is breaking everything it can get its hands on to make you have to depend on that government. That is their goal, is to control the food, to control the ammunition, to control the weapons, to control the oil, to control the gas, because he who controls those 5 things controls the entire population. That's why Jesus preached against that. That's why Jesus said, give to Caesar that which is Caesar's, and give to God that which is God's. But nobody wants to stand up and say, this is not constitutional. This is not constitutional. I'm not following it. I'm not having it. I'm not listening at it. Guys, you better wake up. This is not a Republican problem. This is not a Christian problem. This is a Democratic liberal problem. That's where they're the fathers of it, they're the founders of it, they're the creators of it. But we, the ones that's got to resist it. We're the ones that's got to live through it. We're the ones that's got to say enough. And I tell you now, I have a solution to this gas issue. Oh, do tell, Brother Cecil. Everybody, doctors, nurses, lawyers, Indian chiefs, police, fire, EMS, everybody says we're not coming to work. We can't afford gas. We're not going to be there. You shut down the semi-trucks because they can no longer afford diesel. $5.79 a gallon in Columbia, Kentucky today for diesel. Everybody just says, we're not going to work. We're not showing up. We're not turning up. We're not buying this gas. We're not doing it. And just sit down. Just sit still and wait upon the Lord. When gasoline is high and you have no money to buy, you can't get to your job or the grocery store, it's time to call in and stay home with a friend. Just sit still and wait upon the Lord. Sit still and don't move. Don't go to work. Don't go shopping. Don't go anywhere. Stay at home. They've been wanting you to stay at home anyway because of COVID. So stay at home. And when your boss says, well, if you don't show up, you're going to be fired. I guess I'm fired. I can't get there. It's costing me more money to go to work than I'm making at my job. When I got to pay you to go to work, I ain't going. Just sit down. Truckers just shut down 5 days. 5 days is not going to make or break your trucking industry career. It's not going to shut down your trucking company. If it does, you suck at running a business and ought not to be running one anyway. Stop the trucks, shut them down. You ain't having to pay for fuel. You ain't having to pay a driver. The driver can sit there. They don't mind it because you're trying to help their family too. Stop the trucks. Let the shelves go empty. Let Mr. Biden not be able to get his ice cream. Let Nancy Pelosi not be able to get her vodka. Let Chuck Schumer not be able to get his porn. And watch what happens. This stuff will end. It'll end. Gas prices will go back. Those leases will open back up. That pipeline will open back up. And everything will go back to just like it was when Trump left office. Because they'll see we ain't taking that junk no more. See, this government is supposed to be we the people. It's supposed to be a government formed by the people, for the people, of the people. The people that are in Washington today are no longer for you. They no longer serve you, and they sure aren't one of you. They are millionaire lawyers that are up there robbing you blind. And you're sitting there going, well, I guess I got to take it. Not according to the Constitution of the United States of America, you don't. You don't. A preacher needs to tell the truth, not that you should just sit back and trust your government. You know, I seen a meme the other day, and it offended me at first, but then I got it. And it was a meme of a lady saying, Jesus didn't have an AR-15. You're right. Jesus didn't have an AR-15. And look what happened to him. His government nailed him to a cross. How you doing? And by the way, I'm going to do an education video right now on the term AR-15. That is not assault rifle 15. It is auto-light rifle 15. Not assault rifle. no moron would go into battle with an AR-15. It's a glorified .22 rifle. It just looks scary, but the bullet is a .22. And since I'm tap dancing, let's dance on that for a minute. The Constitution of the United States of America, the Second Amendment, does not say that I'm allowed to bear and keep arms to hunt. It doesn't say what type of arms I'm allowed to keep. But what it does say is that to form a well-armed militia, and no, that is a well-trained militia, no, that is not our army. It says for defense. And then what does it say next? It says that that right shall not be infringed. That means the federal government can't tell me what kind of gun I can own, if it's an automatic or a semi-automatic. They can't tell me what kind of pistol I can own. They can't put an age limit on it. They can't do nothing. Because the Constitution says you can't make any law that goes against the Constitution. You want to do away with the Second Amendment, you got to create an amendment to do such, pass that amendment, and then that amendment's got to go to the states for ratification. And then it becomes law. See, it goes back to the people. And it was designed that way to prevent a tyrannical government from being able to do just what the federal government is doing to you and I today. They told us we couldn't go to church. That violated the First Amendment. They told us that we had to wear a mask when we went to church. That violated the First Amendment. They said we couldn't sing when we went to church. That violated the First Amendment. They said that we had to sit in our cars in the parking lot. Nobody can make a law regulating how anybody worships in this country. Whether you're Christian, Hindu, Sikh, Jew, Muslim, nobody can regulate your faith and your practice of that faith according to the Constitution of the United States of America. How you doing? Tell me I'm wrong. No health crisis in the world can over-trump my rights as a citizen of this country. And this federal government and all the state governments need to remember they are elected by the people, for the people, of the people. And that they can be taken out of office as fast as they would put in it. But you all got to grow the stones enough to stand up to the government and say no. No, not just no, but hell no. You're not doing this. You're not taking away my right to worship. You're not taking away my religious freedom. You're not taking away my right to assemble peacefully. You're not taking away my Second Amendment. You're not taking away anything that's given to me by the Constitution. You're not taking it. But there's not enough people in this country today that has spine enough to stand up and say, we're not doing that. That's a big fat no. Take it back and do it again. Go lick that calf again, Jack. We want our money back. Some of y'all need to look up how a constitutional republic works. We're not a democratic society. We are a constitutional republic. And that document, the Constitution, may not be changed unless it is changed by the people it represents. Not the people that they elected, but the people it represents. See, they stopped teaching civics and U.S. history in schools. They don't want you to know the rights that you have. They stopped teaching cursive writing because the Constitution is written in cursive. If you don't know how to read it, then you can't know what it says. You got to depend on somebody else to read it for you. I got news for you. It hangs right there on my wall. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights is right there as it was originally written. But you guys better wake up, and you better understand this is not going to get better. It is only going to get worse. Why? Because Babylon has to fall. I love you guys, not nearly as much as God, but I love y'all. Y'all keep it real, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye now.